Hey everyone, what's going on? Phoenix here. Today we are talking about mounted combat in Lord of the Rings Online. You first get access to this in Rohan in the town of Harwick, and I had never experienced this before and thought it would be cool to make a quick video going over what I think. I've heard on Reddit a lot of bad things about mounted combat. It's talked about as if it's buggy, and kind of Rohan is a place where people fall off and stop playing Lord of the Rings Online. So just wanted to give my perspective. So in Harwick, you're going to get this quest, talk to this NPC, and he'll set you up with the tutorial for mounted combat. You get a skill that is like any other riding skill where it summons your horse. This time it's just your mounted war-steed. And then you can click on their portrait and you actually get a whole new tree for your character that you can build out and basically level up your war-steed, which I think is really cool. So you get a couple of tutorial quests like in a lot of other games where it's kind of just showing you how to use this steed. So the first one is just like going around the track, and the mounted steed, for whatever reason they made it, is very different from riding a regular steed. So you press like the arrow keys or WASD to increase the speed, but then you don't have to hold that forward. So right now my speed is like 11.5, and then if I let go, it doesn't stop, it will keep going. The next test is navigating through these flags. And as you can see, the navigation is a little bit wonky, so you can either use your normal keys, WASD. They recommend through this tutorial to use the right click on your mouse to change your view and guide your horse. That way, I found that to be a little bit easier, but still not great. And then I got my first bug, like really laggy moment where it just shot me like 100 yards away from the NPC, even though I was standing right next to him. So that was really weird, and maybe not a good sign if this is the tutorial doing that. The next tutorial moment was doing jumps, and again, you just use your space bar as the default key where you jump over stuff. That one was pretty easy. And then finally we get to actual mounted combat. So you get a brand new skill bar, and it has all these skills on it that you can use. I believe that these skills are specific to your class. So I am a captain. I have some shouts and some melee skills, and I found this to be very difficult to line up and land the hit on these dummies the way I wanted it to. It just wasn't really... I mean, you can see it's just not great, and maybe it's user error. But it is cool. Like when you land it, that one looked cool. So that's the whole tutorial. When you finish it, you get some XP. You get mount XP throughout doing quests now, and that again levels up your war steed. So the other thing that I wanted to show off here is some actual mounted combat, and then there's also these warbands that you can find on the map throughout Rohan, which is a pretty cool concept. But here's some actual combat with a rider, and what happens in the real world with this is I'm turning to try to attack, and so is the warg rider, and so we end up just doing this weird like circular dance around each other. I think part of that is like the pathing for the riders is not that great, but hey, I got the kill and that was kind of fun. So not terrible, but also not great either. So here is my tree. I decided to put a bunch of points into the red tier for captain. I don't know, it just seemed like it increased the damage, which is what I was most worried about. Like I felt like mounted combat, if you landed the hit and it just killed the guy, it would feel a lot better than having to do all these weird swoops back and forth trying to line it up and get the kills better. So some of these traits were interesting. It's like if you're chasing something, you get an increased chance at critical damage. And then I think your mount obviously has like health and like I think like agility. So there were some traits related to that. So anyway, the warbands, when you get close to one, you'll get a quest that you can accept. And this one is a huge troll. I was very surprised by this. 40,000 HP, which is quite a bit at this level for me. And I love that he just like immediately hit me and I flew through the air. That was unexpected. And then he does it again. It's crazy. But you can see like just the damage is not there to make this worth it. And again, the pathing, like it's just like a bunch of things spinning. It very much reminds me of combat sometimes in Asheron's Call, where like the mob's pathing is just not smart enough to make this like work properly. And I got very frustrated and I just gave up on my mount because, which is sad because this is cool. Like the concept of this is very cool. It just isn't working well enough for me to fully enjoy it. And maybe that's because I'm going too fast, and please let me know in the comments if you think I'm doing something like super wrong here and I would enjoy this better if I slowed down or whatever. I could see this being a lot better if you were a ranged character, but then I jump off my horse and I can crush these guys, you know, in a second. So that's like the disconnect for me, is like my power off the war-steed and my power on the war-steed I feel like should be somewhat equivalent, and they're so far removed from each other. It just doesn't quite make sense. Like I just beat this guy in like 30 seconds, and if I tried to stay on my steed to do this, it would take forever. So once you kill the guy, you can immediately accept the quest, which is awesome. And that's the animation for leveling up your war-steed, which is a really cool animation. I like that a lot. It's a good concept. So yeah, that's my thoughts on war-steeds in Rohan in Lord of the Rings Online. Like I said, I think this is a really good concept that was maybe not, they didn't have the technology to implement the way that they would want to. I really like that you get a new trait tree. I think this is fun. Like I like when I level up and now I get this experience in my war-steed and I can lock these trait changes in and you know, do different things with it, which I think is really fun. I just wish that the combat was a little bit more intuitive or easy to land, more powerful, so that when you ran by a guy, you just either just killed them because you're very strong now, or I don't know, maybe you knock them down or do something that would make it just a more enjoyable combat experience. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please press that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out. If you're interested in getting these videos early, you can click the link in the description and become a channel member. And that really does help the channel out quite a bit. But once again, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one.